Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Japan once again, as you may have guessed from my football shirt, and we're going to do one of the Osaka breweries. So we're going to head up to Minoh, which is to the northwest of the city, and do another review from Minoh Beer, which is quite a quirky brewery because it's run by three sisters. Brewing, of course, is a very male-dominated industry, and especially in Japan, it's a kind of still quite a male-dominated country, so really quite unusual to have a brewery run by women over there, which is pretty cool actually. But for this one we're going to have a look at their beer that they released for White Day 2017. This is the Smoked Weizen. It comes in at 5% ABV, and as far as I know this is the first example of a Smoked Weizen that has ever come out of Japan, so really cool to be able to review this one for you. Thank you of course to Michiko for bringing this one over to Sweden with her from Japan, and thank you also to my friend Koji at liquor store Asahiya for keeping this beer for me. I'll put the link to his Facebook page for his shop in the description below, so do make sure to give him your patronage if you find yourself in Osaka. Really nice guy with a lot of good Japanese beers and various other things from around the world of course. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Minoh Beer before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beer from different countries. There is one there for all the Japanese beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to of course, and please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. And if you are particularly interested in Japanese beers, please do make sure you check out my friend Casey and Eric at Sotogami Akihabeera. I'll put the link to their channel in the video description below. But anyway, to tell you a little bit about Minoh then, and Minoh Beer. So as I've told you before, Minoh is a city within Osaka Prefecture, which is about 15 kilometers or so to the north of the centre of Osaka City. So this area of Osaka is really quite famous for the Meiji no Mori Minoh Quasi National Park, one of the oldest national parks in Japan actually, and it's also home to the Katsuoji Buddhist temple, which is over 1200 years old. So the monkey symbol often used by this brewery is a reference to the monkey population that you'll find in this national park. It's one of the symbols of the region in Japan of course. But the Minoh brewery was established back in 1996, and it's owned by the Oshita family, who'd actually run an alcohol shop for around 30 years before they opened the brewery. Apparently the family went for dinner one night, and on the way home Papa Oshita pointed to a building and said that they would be brewing beer there very soon, and he bought a brew kit from New Zealand and rented out the building so that they could start brewing beer. So the brewery is now run by the family's three daughters. Kaori and Mayuko founded the brewery, and they were joined by their younger sister a bit later on. Kaori is the eldest sister and she's the head brewer. She trained for a little bit of time in Kobe before going to the National Research Institute of Brewing, the RNIB, in East Hiroshima, and Kaori says that she actually learned a lot on the job, and she's constantly tweaking her recipes, and she notes that Nakanishi of Izakadoya was a great mentor to her as well in the early days. But the brewery apparently had a really kind of uphill struggle when they started, because a lot of the G-Biru breweries that kind of took over in Japan in the early 1990s when the brewing capacity laws were relaxed, a lot of these began to shut down, and these guys had to work very, very hard to build a reputation, but they stuck with it, and they've now gone on to be one of the most acclaimed craft breweries in Japan, and they're producing some really, really quite nice beers. And these guys also run the Beer Belly brew pubs in Osaka, so if you find yourself in Osaka, you can either go and check out Minoh, which is a really, really nice part of the city. Actually, I've been up there before. You can go and walk up to the waterfall, which is very nice, and you can go and visit the brewery and things too, and do of course check out these Beer Belly brew pubs that I was mentioning. They've got a core range of beers, so in their core range they've got the Stout, the Weizen, the Pilsner, the Pale Ale, the Imperial Stout and the WIPA. The Imperial Stout and the WIPA are my favourites that I've had from these guys so far, and they do of course have various seasonal beers and different specials that they release and things like this, and it's the seasonals and the special beers that tend to have the monkey on them. The regular beers do tend to have a different style of artwork, so you can go and check out my review of the Imperial Stout if you want to see that, but I'll put the link to the brewery in the description below. Like I said, if you want to learn more about the brewery, of course, do make sure you check out the other reviews, and you can also check out Casey and Eric, like I said. So anyway, let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. Like I mentioned to you, this one is a 5% smoked Weizen. As I said, I reckon this is the first smoked Weizen that has ever come out of Japan. Of course, the only other example I can think of a smoked Weizen would be the one from Schlenkerla, the green labelled one. But yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork. There you can see the monkey chilling, enjoying a beer. All of these kind of special and seasonal beers that you'll find from Minoh Beer, they do tend to have the same monkey on them, but just a different colour background, sometimes a different colour monkey as well actually, but always kind of sitting in this position enjoying the beer. And there you can see there is the monkey as well on the Minoh bottle cap. So yeah, really nicely presented, this one. You can see on the top there with the katakana Sumoku Weizen. So yeah, so there's two different spellings in katakana of Weizen. Some of them say Weizen, some of them say Weizen, and this one is using the Weizen spelling in katakana. So yeah, quite an interesting beer, this one. Really looking forward to it. So without further ado then, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. So yeah. So yeah, nice, slightly smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass. And I can smell the nice smoky character on this one just as we open it up. See if we can get a bit more of a head on this one, sugar up the last little bit. And there we are. So it's actually a lot lighter in colour. There's a good little bit of sediment just in the bottom of the bottle there actually. I can see it just kind of trailing up the side of the bottle there. But it's a bit lighter than I was expecting this beer. It's poured almost the same colour as like an IPA or something. It's a bright sort of definitely a bright sort of yellow colour, this one, rather than anything else. It looks more like a kind of pineapple-y fruit juice or something like this than the Rauch beers that I've come across before. But there's a solid half finger of a frothy white head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. Quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. The note that I'm getting off the aroma of this one, just as I move it about, is a slightly kind of wheaty, bready thing, but with a little bit of a meaty smoke, but we'll pay more attention to that later. A few little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head there, but overall it looks really nice. As you can see, there's pretty much no transparency to this one as we, if I put my fingers behind the glass there. But yeah, it looks a very, very nice beer. So we'll have a look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh. Now that is quite interesting. This one, to me, it actually has a little bit of almost that Belgian yeasty quality to it. The bready character that's underneath this one, it does smell a little bit reminiscent of like a Belgian blonde or a Belgian wit beer or something like that. Yeah, the breadiness in this one, it really is more reminiscent of these Belgian beers than a German one, to be honest. It's got the meaty smoke, you know, if you think of the Bamberg Rauch malts. I'm not sure if that's what they'll have used in this, right enough. They may have used smoked malts from Japan or from somewhere else, because I guess they would make smoked malts in Japan for some of the whiskey that they do. But yeah, it does have some of that meaty smoke quality to it that you expect of a smoked Weizen. Of course, it's got that kind of German smoked meaty character. It's not a peaty smoke that's coming out of this one. But yeah, there's definitely an element of that sort of Belgian wit beer quality to this one underneath, which is really quite interesting. Yeah, so yeah, there's a sort of white bready character to this one. You can pick out like a little bit of the kind of banana, almost bubblegummy character that you expect of a wit beer or a Weizen beer. Yeah. There's a bit of the sort of clovey spice kind of thing. You can pick out some of the German hops as well. There's a little bit of a kind of noble hoppy element to it, so a little bit kind of floral, grassy, but also very slightly earthy at the same time. But the most prominent part of the aroma really is that slightly Belgian-y wit beer quality that the beer has. And the smoke, as I say, that kind of hammy, that sort of roast ham smoke that the beer has, which is what you'd expect, of course. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one, because it is a little bit more unusual. There's maybe a little bit of caramel in there too. There's a sort of sweet brown sugar, toasted brown sugar thing in there, mixing in with the sort of meaty aromas that the beer has. But it does actually smell really nice, and it's quite intriguing in the way, like I said, to have a smoked beer with that kind of almost Belgian, malt base to it. It's really quite interesting. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you actually try the beer. But we're going to try this one now. So this one is the smoked Weizen from Minoh Beer in Minoh, Osaka Prefecture, Japan. Once again, thank you to Michiko for bringing this beer, and thank you to Koji at liquor store Asahiya for keeping it for me. Kampai. That's really interesting. It's got a nice flavour to it. The mouthfeel is really light though. I've never come across a smoked beer that I can think of that's quite as light as that. I mean, I did have the other Rauch beer from Bamberg, which was the Spezial Rauch beer, which I think it was supposed to be a Rauch lager, that one, if I remember correctly, and it wasn't as light as this. So that's really interesting. This one's got a bit, it's a very smooth malty beer, this one, and you can taste the sort of almost mountainous water. That's another thing you notice with quite a few breweries in Japan. Minoh, of course, are included in that. You can taste a little bit of the mineral content in the water of this one. And it's just interesting to come across a Rauch beer that is, or a smoked beer I should say, rather than a Rauch beer. It's quite interesting to come across one that is that's quite as light as this, but to me I like the flavour of this. As you know, if you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I absolutely love smoked beers, and this one to me is interesting just because of how quirky it is, the character that it has, and the light mouthfeel. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, to me, in the flavour, as I was saying, the aroma comes across as more of being, it comes across as more of a sort of Belgian wit beer. It comes across as more of that. But in the flavour, you're getting somewhere in the middle of the Belgian wit beer sort of wheat qualities, and also somewhere in the middle of the German ones. It's almost just a kind of halfway between the two, and then you've got these nice sort of smoky, meaty characters on top of that. I do like how this goes together, and it's really quite easy drinking actually. So you know, it may well be fair to say that this, if you're, and again this is one of the things with Japanese beer, is that they're not used to such punchy flavours. I mean, you do get the Fujizakura Heights Rauch beers. They're actually quite strong, but by Japanese standards, of course, the Japanese palate is used to things being a little bit more mild than things being very, very punchy. And I can see in this regard why Japanese beer drinkers would enjoy this, because it blends together very well. And you know, that's how Japanese food is. It's all about how the flavours blend together than being very, very punchy. And I guess it's that thing, Japanese society is all about harmony as well, so a little bit, in a way, it makes me smile whenever I think about that, because the kind of way that these Japanese beers blend together, it reminds me of this kind of harmony mentality that exists in Japan. But it's a nice beer, this. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I'd love to try it on tap, and the sort of mouthfeel that it has, to me, I think this would be very nice if it was a cask conditioned beer. I don't think that's very common in Japan as far as I remember, but if you could cask condition this beer and have it on some of these old pool casks that we have in Scotland, to just give it a slightly thicker mouthfeel, the way the flavours come out on this one, the smoothness of the flavour, it would suit that conditioning really, really well in my opinion. But for me, it's a nice beer. Just be aware that if you try this one, it's going to be nowhere near as punchy as the Weizen beer that you're going to get from Schlenkerla. But yeah, let's examine the flavour a little bit more closely then. So you've got this sort of white bready character that just kind of blankets the middle of your tongue. On top of that, you're getting a little bit of the, you can pick up a little bit of the slightly sweet wheaty character, and there's a wee bit of an almost clovey spice to it. There's not too much in this one. It's not too strong in the way of the sort of bubblegummy things that come out. It's more a sort of slightly, but it is more of a kind of banana-y sort of clovey thing that's going on in this one. Some of these beers can be really bubblegummy, but if you go right in the middle of your palate, you'll feel that little bit of banana and clovey character there. The clove sort of spicy character that this beer has works well with the wheat. The wheat, like I said, comes across as being very smooth. But as you move further out towards the edge of the tongue, that's where I'm getting these sort of smoke, Rauch malt type things going on. But it's very, very nice. There's a bit of an almost biscuity sweetness to this beer too. So it really is just interesting. I've never come across a beer in this style quite like this one, so I would recommend you try it just for the kind of the sort of quirkiness that the beer has, although I don't know how likely you are to find this one anymore. As I say, I think it's a limited edition brew. They may do it next year for White Day again though, who knows. But that's nice. As I say, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, but I would love to see it conditioned, cask conditioned. I think this beer would really suit that. But I like how this one goes together. In the back corners of the palate, you're getting a little bit of earthiness from I think they've used German noble hops in this. There's just a little bit of that slightly sweet earthiness there. As you come further forward, you can feel the earthiness just spreading, but then it kind of transforms into a little bit more of a sort of floral, aromatic character, quite light, not too punchy of course, and as you go round the front curve of your palate there, it's lightly grassy, and there's maybe even just a very slight touch of that sort of lemongrass character. There's not too much in the way of fruitiness to this beer. There's maybe just a little bit of a citric character. If you just go behind the front curve of your tongue there, you'll feel that little oily bubble with all these fruity esters, and to me it comes across just as a little bit kind of citricy, but it really is quite a nice beer, this one. I like how all the flavours blend together, and as I said, that's kind of reminiscent of how Japanese food is. There's not that many things that have a really kind of bold, punchy flavour. It's all about how things blend together when it comes to Japanese cooking. And that, of course, seems to be reflected in the beer. It's the same with sake, of course. But I do like how this beer goes together. But if you're expecting a really big, punchy, sort of wheaty Rauch beer, this one. It does have the wheaty side of things, but it's not too strong in terms of the smoke, but I like just how this one goes together. So if that sounds good to you, if you want a wheat beer with just a little bit of a smoky edge to it, this one will really be right up the street for you. Like I said, I reckon this one would be very good for a kind of for a cask ale beer. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, I would say this is it's probably mid-bodied. In terms of the Rauch beers and the wheat beers though, it is on the lighter side of things. It's a very easy drinking beer. This carbonation is very soft. The overall texture is quite smooth. It does maybe have a very slight oily character to it, but mainly it's dominated by a very kind of smooth malt. There's a little tiny bit of hoppy bitterness there, as I said, a little bit of earthy bitterness at the back of the palate and some slightly grassy floral bitterness there at the front, and just a wee teeny bit of a juicy a sort of juicy citric character. The Rauch flavour in this one gives it just a little bit of sweetness too, but for me it's another really quite nice beer from Minoh Beer in Osaka. In terms of the other beers that they do, this one is more of an easy drinker than the punchier beers like the Osaru IPA, the WIPA or the Imperial Stout, so just be aware of that if you do try this one, but I would recommend you do because it is quite quirky, and it's been really cool to try the first smoked Weizen beer that's been produced in Japan as well. So yeah, it's always cool to see the breweries over there willing to try new things, and like I said, the quirky thing about this brewery is that it's three sisters that run it, so it's always cool to see women getting in on the action as well when it comes to craft beer, because I know quite a few talented women brewers actually through doing these reviews, so Minoh Beer are one that we should keep an eye on. But yeah, thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it below. Always great to hear from you guys, of course. And do let me know what your favourite beers from Minoh Beer are as well. This, I think, was my third review from these guys, and no doubt I will do more in the near future. I think the next review you might see from these guys will be the WIPA, because that's one that I really want to do. So you can look forward to that. This was the smoked Weizen from Minoh Beer in Minoh, Osaka in Japan, a brewery that you definitely need to try if you find yourself in the Osaka area. Make sure you check out those beer belly pubs in Osaka. So until the next time, it's Landed just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. The smoked Weizen from Minoh Beer, AGI Beer Incorporated from Osaka, Japan. Cheers.